Imagine setting up a shop and walking in on it like you're some pretentious creator. Yikes. Coffee. Guys, today I want to talk about the state of Gibson guitars. I think, we talked about Gibson before. You guys know that I'm a Gibson guy. Like, I do really enjoy Gibson. And of course, there's been several videos like this in the vein of like, geez, Gibson, like what's going on? And I'm just the next guy in a range of many. I'm not trying to get free stuff from Gibson. I've prided myself on being, honest with you all about where I come from a guitar standpoint. I really don't bullcrap anybody, and I make a lot of enemies. Maybe not enemies, but you know what I mean. Like, I say what I mean, and really just talk about, man, like, there's something that's really great about Gibson, but it hasn't been showing. I wanted to see it thrive, but it hasn't been making waves for me. Now listen, you know that I do a lot of guitar trading. I'm a big trader in the game. I do a lot of different guitar trades throughout the course of, my time here in town. It really just depends on, what day it is and, how many different things I've got going on. But typically, Gibsons are one of the bigger brands that I really like to use. I like to see Gibsons flip. People like Gibson guitars. So it's obvious. Like, Gibsons are a great guitar if you like Les Pauls or SGs. Really, the Gibsons that I love are the ones that are more like the Cadillacs. The ES-175, the 335, even some of the other, more vintage models. I say that, like the L5s, the Super 400s. That's Gibson that I love. But I want to show you a guitar that I got recently that I've just been loving to death. This is a Gibson custom shop. This is an R8. This is one of my favorite guitars I've recently gotten. What I love about this guitar is it's quality, man. This guitar is absolutely insane feeling. I mean, just take a look at this thing. You've got mahogany. You've got the same techniques they used back in '58 to make this guitar. This guitar also has an incredible flame on it. Not many R8s now have flame on it. A lot of them aren't book matched, but nowadays you get an R8, a modern R8, they're going to be flat tops. And if you like the R8, the '58 style neck, you're not gonna find it easy to come by a guitar that's got stinking stripes like this. Like, look at that quilted flame maple. It's absolutely insane. Like, look at that. It looks so good, and the pickups sound so great. That's my son. Yes, we are. Mwah. Love you, Bubba. Have a good nap. But as usual, I do have a couple qualms with custom shop guitars. First of all, not every custom shop is made equal. There are plenty of custom shops that don't play as well as the guitar I have on this wall over here. And so finding the right custom shop, when you're spending $5 to $6 grand on a guitar, and I say that like literally, like these guitars are going for like multiple thousands of dollars, you really want to buy the best one. And it's so hard just to find the right one on the used market, let alone like pick one out from the hundreds of custom shops that are out there. And this guitar has a lot of cool things that, maybe a modern Les Paul wouldn't. It's like 8.3 pounds, which is incredible. If you guys watch the Tim Pierce video with Red Shaw going through Les Pauls, that's like Tim's like favorite weight for a Les Paul, and that guitar has it. 8.3 pounds, it has a great flame maple top on it, but not every custom shop is going to have those things, especially when you get into the modern Les Pauls that we're making today. I was actually at the Gibson custom shop earlier this week, and I asked one of their techs, hey, how many custom shops are you trying to get out the door every day? And it's like every day they're trying to get 80 custom shop guitars out the door. And for me, I'm like, you mean Gibson's highest level of guitar manufacturing, the Gibson custom shop, is trying to take 80 guitars. That's a lot of guitars, okay, for anybody. especially if they're handmade like these custom shops. I'm going to tell you that things slip through the cracks, and you're going to see that in the Gibson custom shop guitars. And then we have guitars like this one. This is a Epiphone. It is an Epiphone 339. It is made in China. It is as import as the day is long, and these are the inspired by Gibson models. What that just simply means is that, you know, the guitars are made after, like, original Gibson specs. This guitar is an incredible pale and blue, and for a guitar that literally cost me $300 used, this guitar not only plays great, looks great, but it feels great. Like, these guitars are next to none on the import markets. I think I find other guitars, like the PRS Koreans, to be as good. Obviously, some of the guitars will be better in the PRS lineup, but man, this guitar just feels great. And I did a video on the 335 inspired by Gibsons. Absolutely phenomenal guitars. And I can't say that about every Epiphone, okay? There are some Epiphone lines that are just not great, but these modern ones, the IBG came out like what? Like 3 or 4 years ago, 2018, 2017, and they just look and feel and play just absolutely. Now, when I was growing up, you know, Gibsons were the Cadillac of guitars. PRS was still just a wee baby back in the day. I grew up in the 90s, you know, early 2000s, right? I lived in the DC area where, you know, PRS was making guitars just up the state, a little bit more in Maryland. And, you know, I was so just enamored with Gibson guitars. They were the most expensive. They were the prettiest. The Les Pauls were like the dream for me growing up. And I couldn't afford one. Like, it just wasn't possible. You know, my family, like, we did fine. Like, we survived, but we didn't have money to buy guitars. And so when I, you know, became an established musician and an adult and moved to Nashville, like, I started trading guitars. Because one, I also don't have all the money in the world to just buy guitars all the time. But also, like, you really do see the value in specific instruments when you remove the money equation from it. Because in reality, when you're trading up and you start with a guitar that's worth $120, you know, that Les Paul's worth $120, whether or not, you know, you make money off of it later or not, you know. So trust me when I say I've been through the Les Paul, the Gibson American, like, lines, okay? My favorite guitars in that line, in the Gibson American line, I love the SG61 reissue, one of my favorites, and a very particular Les Paul standard 60s. The 50s, I could do without. But here's my point. I've played a lot of Gibson Americans, you know, and I've settled on this custom shop. Like, that custom shop is cream of the crop. I'm not going to get any better than that guitar for where I'm at. It's there. I'm going to play. It's going to be a lot of fun. But a lot of Gibson Les Paul standards just sound terrible, and they play like butt, you know. And I'm really bummed because I really want Gibson to succeed, and I really want Gibson to market to players, but they just produce so many guitars that are just mediocre. The quality control is not there, and especially a beloved brand like Gibson. I mean, they've been through just the rigmarole of leadership, you know? Are these really the guitar-centered companies we want them to be, or are they just money grabs? Right? And that isn't even to say how expensive Les Pauls have become. Back when I was in college, Les Paul standards were $2,300. Now they're 3,000, you know, and that's, you know, with inflation. Like, this economy is not the best, okay? So, you know, you have to look at, is a Les Paul Standard worth $3,000? Absolutely the heck not. And, you know, even now, like a Custom Shop R8, like the one I have back there, $5,500, you know, from the custom shop. It's just absolutely astronomical. And really, if you want a quality Les Paul, like, you're going to have to go to an import. You're going to have to go find a guitar that was made by someone at the risk of their career, and you're going to have to soup it up and make it great. You know, you're going to have to build one yourself. You know, things like that. You know, it's just so tough to find a really great American Standard, and not everyone has the budget even for those, let alone the custom shops. Right now, my guitar life is simply, you know, find a guitar that makes me feel something, and that sounds so subjective and stupid, but, you know, if the guitar doesn't sing in my hands, do I really want to play it, you know, and does it really have that mojo? And, you know, it's funny because I can define mojo as make so many bad guitars, the ones that do pretty good stand out, and that's mojo for me. And sadly, Gibson has to have mojo because there's just so many crappy guitars out there that's where I'm at. All right, so don't get me wrong, I have my gripes with every brand, okay, but as a beloved fan of Gibson guitars, it kind of hurts a little bit, you know. I don't want to say that, but, you know, obviously it'd make good clickbait. So there you go. There are my thoughts on the current state of Gibson guitars. Guys, thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please consider subscribing. I make videos all the time. Do you agree with me about the Gibson guitars and the state of Gibson? I want to know what you think. You guys are obviously buying more Gibsons than me. There are plenty of people out there that love Gibson brand, but I've just found that, man, I just really wish I had a couple of really good vintage ones instead of some of the modern stuff they're putting out right now. But let me know down below. Looking forward to talking to you guys. We'll see you next time on IkeGuitar.